Well, that's all right, Mama. That's all right with you. That's all right, Mama. Any way you choose, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, Mama. Any way that you choose. Well, Mama, she done told me, Papa done told me too. Son, that gal you fooling with, she ain't no good to you. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, Mama. Any way that you choose. Baby, I'm leaving town for sure. Then you won't be bothered with me hanging round your door. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, Mama. Anywhere that you choose.
Albert, a lot of rock players that hear you play are completely baffled by what you do. How would you suggest that someone who plays rock has a basic knowledge of pentatonic scales and basic chords? How would you suggest that they learn country?
I mean, the way I play country, the way I like to think I play country is having, you know, just a smattering of jazz and rock and blues, you know, and just mixing it all together, you know.
Yeah, the things you do are so far from simple. Where do you start?
Well, I mean, they started out simple, really, and I just, through doing it so many years, it's just gotten a little bit more complicated, and I'm able to slip around a little easier than I did before, and you know, and I've just influenced by a lot of people along the way, not to the point where I actually copied them note for note, you know. Although in the early days, I did learn every Cliff Gallup solo that I could, you know, from the Jim Vincent record, you know, and they were good. They were very good practice because they were.
You remember any of them right now?
Oh yeah, kind of.
Great.
It's a kind of a swing style, really. It's it's simple, you know, but it's very effective, you know.
Yeah. Was there anyone else that influenced you? Scotty Moore?
A lot of people. Scotty Moore. I mean, I listened to Scotty Moore, and all those guys. I knew they were using thumb picks, right. And I couldn't get on with a thumb pick. I tried the thumb pick for a while, and it was just too restricting because I wanted to play all the real fast stuff, right, that I heard people do. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, although I couldn't do it anywhere like that then, yeah, but right. I knew you couldn't. It was a lot harder to do that with the thumb pick because it was so stiff and restricting, you know. So I came up with a style which I hadn't seen anybody else do at the time. You got to realise this was England in 1960, you know, and there weren't many guitar players that you could go and watch, you know, that you could really learn a lot from. You know, everybody was just trying to learn the best they could from listening to American records, you know, and you didn't really see that many Americans, you know. So I figured out a way of playing, you know, with a flat pick and the fingers, you know. You know, the Scotty Moore solo. Right. Kind of rockabilly stuff, you know.
That's great. Why don't we slow that down a little bit and just, it looks like such a rudimentary pick and fingers thing. Maybe you can play it a little slower, okay, and we can talk through it. Now, are you using Travis picking there?
Well, I think he used a thumb pick and one finger.
Oh, really?
You know,
yeah.
A lot of guys had their own, you know, their own way of doing it, you know.
But you're playing an alternating bass there, right?
Yeah.
So you're alternating
with the flat pick.
Right, yeah, on the downbeat, on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're syncopating with your fingers.
I thought I was approaching it in a unique way then, in 1960, but of course I realized later that a lot of players played the same way, you know, like James Burton and Glenn Campbell. You know,
right.
Use the flat pick and fingers, and of course a lot of people do it now. You know,
Could you do that pattern with just holding an E chord so that someone who might not be familiar with it?
Sure.
Yeah. So your thumb is, your pick, I should say, is actually going from the E to the high E and then to the B to the high E, right? And that's keeping it a steady pulse all the way through. Yeah. And then with your fingers, you add the syncopated high notes on the chords. That's such a rudimentary style, I would think. Yeah. But it's really hard to do. How would you approach practicing it so you can get it so tight and so effortless?
Well, just by doing that, really.
Yeah, just grabbing a chord and... have the thumb go, I mean the pick going first, right? Get that.
As long as you keep that going.
Keep that going, so practice that, and then maybe add... And you're picking that with...
That's with my third finger. But,
okay, yeah, with the ring finger of your right hand, okay. Okay, so there you're just throwing the 6th and the flat 7th, the F sharp and the G, right. And I guess you can just move the chords around after that.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
I bless the day I found you. I want to stay around you now and forever. Let it be me. Take this 7 from 1. If you must cling to someone, now and forever, let it be me. Each time we meet, love, I find complete love. Without your sweet love, where would life be? So never leave me lonely. Tell me you love me only, now and forever. Let it be me. Each time we meet, love, I find complete love. Without your sweet love, what would life be? So never leave me lonely. Tell me you love me only, that you'll always let it be me, and that you'll always let it be.
I was going to ask you about your chord work, because I've noticed that you seem to work out of certain chord shapes a lot, not only in your comping but in your solo playing. I've noticed that you do a lot of triadic ideas. You play triads in various inversions up and down the neck. Maybe you can show them to us.
Yeah, well,
Okay, let's slow that down. Okay.
It's just a different inversion, so
right.
Like E
That's
first
an open
position.
E, right? Now you have the okay, right, and that. Hold on, let's get that. Now we have the E in the 4th position, which has the 3rd in the bass, the G sharp in the bass.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally play that. The whole thing.
Well, I mean, with your 3rd finger, you're playing the G sharp there, right? Let's get that one on the 9th fret that you play, right? That one, and that's.
Well, that's kind of. It's around like. If I was thinking solo-wise, you know, I'd either be thinking of like an A chord, you know, imagine with a capo there, and thinking about playing around an open A chord,
right.
or having the capo there and playing around an open G chord.
Okay,
shape,
let's slow that down a little bit, because somebody might not know all those forms. Okay, right? Great. sliding the high E with your pinky. Or the B, right.
Well,
Right.
you can, whatever
Right.
sound you need to get in that position. Basically, I think about like major scales built around
The shapes. the
major
inversions.
inversions, you know.
Let's go over some of the other voicings you use. There's like a real common country chord. I guess jazz players use it a lot too, but that's the 6/9 chord, which is that the real classic.
Yeah, well, I got that from Scotty Moore and from Cliff Gallup. You know, Scotty Moore would put it at the end of
just about every song.
every blues.
It sounded great. Great. That's so cool. Well, let's just take a look. If you could just finger that chord, and we'll just check out how you're playing it, how you're fingering that. So you're barring the B and the E strings with your third finger on the 12th fret, and barring the A, D, and G strings at the 11th fret with your first finger, and playing the open E. It's such an open, round chord. Oh, that was neat. You just played the harmonic. Okay, so might as well look at that too.
I just brush it with the palm of my hand.
At the what fret would that be away from?
Well, ideally at the octave.
Yeah,
so it'll be where the 24th fret would be.
Right. And you're pretty much mimicking the shape of the chord at the 24th, at the implied 24th fret while picking.
As close as you can get it. Yeah.
Well, it's terrific.
That's about the extent of my harmonic work. It's something that I haven't really had a lot of interest in. You know, there are people that do that really well. You know,
right, yeah.
But because they really wanted to do it, I guess. You know, I mean, you hear something, and if you really want to do it, you work at it, and you
I
do
guess
it,
Chet Atkins or Lenny Breau or
Yeah.
guys like that would be the guys to listen to if you wanted to do the harmonic thing.
But I didn't feel like I really wanted to learn, to spend the time to learn to do it, you know.
Sure.
It didn't fit in with the kind of music that I wanted to play, you know.
Right. Right.
So
there's a real, glad you played that. There's a real common voicing that I've noticed that is found in country guitar playing, where you take this 7th chord, this position. Yeah, some people might not know it, so let's just look at it. But that's a D7th, and you're basically playing D on the 5th string, F sharp on the 4th string, C natural on the 3rd string, and D on the 2nd string. And I've noticed you alternate the bass sometimes, where you pick and you alternate between the D and right. Yeah, that's a real common thing as well. I also see you using a couple of 9th chord shapes too. When you play, say, E9, you'd play this kind of shape. Right, let's look at that. We have E natural with your 2nd finger, G sharp with your 1st finger, and then you're barring D, F sharp, and B with your 3rd finger. That's kind of an all-purpose chord. You find it in rock, funk, country, the whole bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very basic.
Yeah.
But it's, as you say, all-purpose.
Yeah. And then there's another inversion of the 9th chord that you use, that I've seen you use, which is this kind of thing. Oh, right, which is, and that would be an E9 in the 11th position, with the G sharp played with the 1st finger, the D natural played with the 3rd finger, the F sharp played with the 2nd finger, and the B played with the 4th finger, and on the inside, 4 strings.
When you've got open strings, I like to use open strings as often as I can, you know. You know, or you can...
So there you're either grabbing, you're either playing the open high E string, or you're playing the E on the 12th fret with your pinky and hitting the open B, so you get a much fuller type of chord. You're really known for your fiery soloing. You seamlessly play these passages up and down the neck with a lot of speed and great time. And I was wondering where you get these ideas from. Do you play them off of chord forms, or do you think scales when you play them, or how does it work for you?
Well, they're kind of scales over the different positions. So, you know, I work from position to position.
So that would be that in G over that G chord on the 3rd fret.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I'll start something. And it's kind of the.
And that would be over the G chord on the 7th fret when you play up there.
Same kind of idea, but I'm starting here instead.
So you're playing off of this shape right here on the 7th fret, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm bending up to the 7th.
Right.
To the F note.
So you play kind of a modified Mixolydian scale, which is basically a major scale with a flatted 7th, and you also add the flatted 3rd too. So you play between when you do stuff like when you go from the flatted 3rd to the natural 3rd, and then you do the roots down to the 7th. So maybe you can play that for us just a little bit slower, so we can get an idea how
that first one.
Okay. Yeah, the first one. And then you also pulled off to an open string too, and hit an open string there too. Yeah, one more time if you don't mind.
I won't do it the same way every
time. It's real close.
But it's the same.
It gives us an idea that you. I see you moving chromatically from the A to the B when you going up to the. Right. Now, when you're in the 7th position and you're playing off of this G shape, right? What's an idea?
I'll start off with the same idea,
just play an idea,
but I'll end up somewhere else because of the nature of the shape of
course.
it. That's kind of similar to what I did down there, but it
gives you an idea of how you're thinking chordally over
the sound different.
Right, Now that was a neat little run. Could you maybe show us that slower? Okay, so there you're sliding with your 3rd finger from the B flat to the B natural on the B string.
Is that what I did?
Yeah. And there you went, all of a sudden you just shifted to the 10th position, and then again you shifted to the 12th position there, yeah. Yeah, now I also see you play off of this chord form too, like if we're G in the 12th fret, and you'd be playing here somewhere. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's run that pattern, that pattern a little slower, so just, Okay, so you're going A, B, right. Just a little bit slower so we can... You kind of went from a major feel, a dominant feel, to a really strong minor feel. This is a real signature thing in your playing. You kind of combine minor and major within the same run.
Yeah, I like to do that. You know, I don't like to play on over minor chords,
Right.
to be honest. I always like it to be basically major, but you know, but make it blue. You know, and
Yeah,
have
right,
the
sure.
minors in there too. But
It'd be neat if you played that run again a little slower, especially that part where you did a part when you went up and you went. Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, let's do that slower. Okay, and then we're moving chromatically from the D to the D flat to the C to the B flat, and you're kind of pushing it up a little bit.
yeah,
Right, kind of quarter tone bend,
and
right?
then hitting the second string with my little
Yeah.
finger.
And then the G would. So maybe now you can ascend and then descend and see how that sounds like. Why don't I play just a G chord, and then maybe we can. I'll play a real slow groove so that we can kind of see how you connect those positions, and then we'll play a faster groove, and then you can really blow on it. Okay. Okay.
It's going to stay on the G.
Yeah. Okay. So now maybe we can do the same thing, say like over a blues and E or something, and
Sure,
you
yeah.
can do the same kind of scalar connecting things.
Okay.
Okay. I noticed you also interspersed double stops in there.
Yeah, I mean, I like to do them.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the things I throw in every now and again.
That was a great little idea. Yeah. Do you mind slowing that down and we can just see what you're doing? Okay, and there. So one more time, please. Okay, so that's A to E, and then you're moving. Right. Great. Great. And then you would just descend that down, right? Somehow. Right. Could do that a little slower. That's great. Now, when you play those, how do you pick those with your right hand? Is that all with pick or with two fingers or?
A lot of them are just the second and third finger.
So
either, sometimes the flesh, sometimes the nails.
Okay, so just those three little chords there that you played there, right there, right here. That. Okay, so let's just look at that. That's okay. Right. So you're playing the B, E, and then you're playing the B flat and the D to the A and the D. Right. And then G, B that you're bending up, and then E, G sharp. So there's that minor major thing again, where first you're playing G and B, and then you're playing E and G sharp. Right. And then you descend that down.
I'm giving the impression that I'm playing, moving lines in thirds, but I'm not. Just every now and again there'll be a single note line in there.
So would you say that you pick? So would you say that you pick the single notes and then play the thirds with your two fingers? Would that be a correct assessment? Exactly. You do kind of an idea like that when you play the solo to "I Fell in Love," where you did the Carlene Carter song, where you did a kind of descending run in thirds that's really reminiscent of what you just played.
Yeah,
that was really neat. Okay. Yeah, let's just see. You did this one great open string run over the D chord. Yeah, that's so cool. Let's slow that down a little bit. So it's D, F sharp G, and open G, right? So there you're playing the A and the C and the open B when you shift up to the 5th position, right? There's the open B and then there's the C, right? And then you just kind of, and when you pick back, it's just like a rake. You're not.
You can rake. Yeah.
So over a D chord, it would sound 3, 4. Now we'll resolve to G. We just saw you and your band play Fun Ranch Boogie, and there was a couple of really neat things you did in there, particularly this one kind of pull-off idea you did with double stops and open strings and stuff.
I know, yeah.
Right. Could you show us, because I know you went through the changes with that idea, so maybe you can just run through the changes.
Well, I figured out what shapes work in what keys,
right.
Using what open strings I can utilize, And that works in E.
Right. So what are you doing there, actually? The first note you hit is, you're sliding up to the G sharp. Okay, so you're working off of an E7th chord. You're sliding to the G sharp, and then you play B and D, and then you play an open G. And how do you pick that? You're picking
with the pick.
Okay, so the first note is with a pick. Those two notes, the double stops are played with the
with the second and third.
Second and
finger.
third, right?
Nails,
and then
possible.
the open, and the open note is played with the pick again. Okay. Okay, and from there you go to.
And do it in A.
Okay. Okay, let's hear that. Yeah. So that's. Oh, that's neat. So you can either go. And there you're playing the G note on the D string, right? And the same thing, you're playing the double stop, the A and the C sharp on the second fret, and going to the open G string there as well. Right.
Yeah.
Or the F sharp on the D string. And there you're working out of the A position.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And you, for B.
Right. Oh, that's kind of neat. So it's basically the same thing you do for A, except 2 frets up over the B chord shape. Yeah. So maybe you could string the whole thing together.
Or
Yeah. Right. Oh, that's neat too.
and it works real good in F and C too.
Really.
And C.
Right. So those are the 2 shapes that you used over E and A as well. Over
Yeah, same shape.
So maybe you could play what you did in Fun Ranch, combining the 3 shapes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really neat.
I don't know where I got that from. I don't know if I made it up myself, but it's kind of loosely based on a number of other ideas. So I'm doing it with double stops.
I also noticed that you do that like over, say, over G. You would do it up here. You do something like.
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it in G.
Yeah. Right. And then you do something all the way up here in the 12th fret, you do? Yeah. Is that the same thing? Yeah.
That is, yeah.
Right. There's I believe it's in the head. You play a really nice idea over F sharp and B over the chords.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, maybe you could slow that down for us, because they're almost jazz ideas the way you're hitting the chords so dead on. The neat shape you're playing over the F chord. You're playing an F sharp 9 arpeggio starting on the 3rd, which is a real kind of sophisticated jazz idea. And then over the B, you're... And then you're playing a B7th arpeggio there. You're playing a B7th arpeggio. So you touch on E a little bit, and then you go to the 4 chord, to the A. Yeah. That's a real neat bend. Show that bend. Yeah. So you're bending from the F sharp to the G sharp. You're in the A position. You're playing off that A chord.
Yeah.
And then going chromatically A B flat D in that same position. It's really neat. Yeah. We can run that up to speed again and then. When you did that rake, I presume you raked that, right?
No.
Oh, that was a roll.
Yeah, I'm doing a roll.
A roll. And that's a forward roll using pick, middle finger, and ring finger, or pinky?
Ring finger.
Ring finger. Yeah.
And when I finish that triplet,
Right.
then I hit the 2nd string with a pick. Then.
Right. Oh, that's neat. So after the roll, you jump with the pick to the right, and then you pick the rest of the idea. This tune you just played, Tiger Rag, is just like a tour de force as far as technique and these the seamless stream of ideas that you just played. Maybe you can play that opening idea, the head to the tune, because it has like a real neat double stop figure and. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
See, that's so much easier to play fast.
Okay, well, yeah, play fast.
Yeah.
So you're playing the double stop, and you're playing that with again with the
with these nows.
With the middle and ring fingers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you just seem to be running down a scale, but are you using open strings?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you picking each note or are you pulling off?
I'm trying to pick every
Pick
note.
every note, okay. So you're just it's basically a double stop in the A shape, and then you're just running down a major scale. The middle section in the Tiger Rag, you play some really neat chordal ideas where you pick these really great voicings. Can you show that to us?
Oh yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, slow down those chords for us and see. And so you're playing basically again out of that A shape, but you're playing an A7 to an A9 by adding the B, right?
Yeah.
And then the adding the sixth in the D shape,
D6,
right?
yeah.
Right. So let's. Okay. Let's look at your right hand when you play those chords and see how you. So the bottom two notes you play with your pick and your second finger, and the top note you play with your pinky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about a couple of things that are real noticeable about your technique, and I'm just trying to figure out if you can give us an idea how one can go about developing this kind of flawless technique that you have. Well, I mean, it's quite remarkable.
Sometimes it is.
Well, it's quite remarkable when we see you run these ideas, and it seems that they're never ending. Is there anything you practiced, or is there anything you worked on to get these things to come out so easily?
When it gets to the point where they are flowing like that,
Yeah.
I'm so in tune with it, and the old adrenaline's pumping, you know, and I'm able to run from idea to idea, you know, without a stop, you know. I mean, it doesn't happen every time, you know, but there are times when fortunately, it does happen, you know,
Yeah.
when everything's right and you've got a good balance, and
Right.
you know, and I say the adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah.
You know.
How would you suggest to someone who wants to maybe get their speed more together, or to get their ideas more happening? How would you suggest that they approach practicing?
I'm able to do that because I've just been doing it for so long, and I've got that quite large backlog of licks there.
Yeah, well, what did you practice when you were younger then? What did you, to get to this point?
Well, you know, I practiced all those old rock and roll solos, you know. I just kept doing it until I really knew my way around, you know.
Did you ever work with a metronome and increase the speed, or
no,
you just
I never did that. Most of my practice was done, and well, you know, I don't practice very much now, but when I do, I'll put on a record and play along with it, you know, and just something that's fast, usually, you know.
Jimmy Bryant, stuff like that?
Yeah, or, you know, any Ricky Scaggs or whatever. Any bluegrass is best for me, you know. And I'll, you know, and I'll play along with it. And if I played as good as I did last week, then that's my practice for the day, you know. If I can, you know, play as cleanly as I did, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't feel stiff or... that's usually enough, you know. I mean, unless there are times when I do get inspired and I'll hear something I really like and I'll maybe try and work it out, you know. But it doesn't happen very often, you know.
So you're telling me your time just comes from just you, because you're really known for your time, for really playing so solid in the pocket, and you're just telling me you just practiced with records and your time just developed like that.
The way I've always done it, really.
Quite remarkable. Would you have any suggestions to someone who might want to develop their time? You think that's the best way to go, to copy licks from records?
I think so, yeah. You know, I think you can only get so far just sitting at home playing on your own. You know, you've got to play along the record, or best of all, play with a band, you know. Just keep doing it with a rhythm section.
So you think learning licks and ideas from other people is a lot better than sitting at home practicing scales, for example, that kind of thing? Developing your melodic sense?
Well, that all helps, you know, but they don't mean anything unless, you know, you're able to play with someone, you know, and make them make sense, you know. There's so many guys that can just play all this dazzling stuff that can't play it with anyone else, you know. And I've never really been the kind of player who can sit down and really play, you know, party pieces on my own. You know, I'm better when I'm playing with a rhythm section that really gives me a pad to play on. You know. You know, I'd never been able to entertain someone with a guitar on my own. So, you'll play us something.
I would disagree, and I think a whole bunch of other people would too. I mean, you entertain a whole lot of people with what you do. I was hoping we could kind of do one more little jam where maybe you can just combine a few of the elements we've talked about. 2, 3, 4. funny because you play with such authority and such power, but from what I gather, your setup, you use light strings and a real, you have a real light touch. So how does...
Well...
How do you make it sound so big? So...
Well, I don't know. I've always liked light strings. I used to use even lighter, you know.
Really? What do you use now?
These are 9, 12, 15, 26, 32, and 40. Mm-hmm. I used to use 8 down to a 38.
Really?
You know, and I used to get a fairly good sound out of that. You know, when I was with Emmylou, using the an old telly, you know, I got quite a fat sound. You know, it's just how, just the touch and how you got your controls set. You know. Right. But then I was with Eric for a few years, and that just didn't work. Playing behind him, it just sounded too thin. You know. Yeah. And I started to use heavier strings. You know. Now I'm. I see. When I was with Emmylou, I was using 10s as well. You know, I mean speakers.
Oh, I see.
10-inch speakers. You know, which is
brighter kind of speaker.
Yeah. But now I'm using 12s, 12-inch speakers, and a 9 down to a 40. You know.
And use heavy picks, I believe.
Always use heavy. Heavy. Yeah. I used to use those little jazz picks in the 60s. You know, but got into using the big ones, and I'm frightened to go back to using the little ones now. I think I might drop them. I've gotten so used to using these big ugly things.
You know what? You mentioned Eric Clapton and playing with him, and you know, let's play one of his tunes, or actually this is a J.J. Cale tune, and see what you can come up with over this kind of group. We'll do like a
try.
Cool. What was it like playing with him? Were you given ample time, ample space to solo and to do your thing?
Oh,
or
yeah. He gave me every opportunity.
Yeah.
It was great fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun because I got to do a lot, really. I was playing keyboards in a few songs and singing a lot of harmonies.